The war had ended, but the silence that followed was heavy and cold, like the calm before a storm that no one could yet see. For years, humanity had fought against a vast coalition of alien species, a war that stretched across star systems and shattered countless worlds. The battles had been fierce, filled with loss and courage, and finally, against all odds, humans had emerged victorious. Yet victory felt hollow. Earth was scarred cities that once gleamed with life, now stood as broken monuments of ruin and ash. The mighty fleets that had carried humanity's hope into the stars were reduced to scattered remnants drifting in the void. Survivors walked through shattered streets, their faces marked by grief and uncertainty. The price of peace was written. In every crumbled building, in every empty space where laughter had once lived. But the worst blow was yet to come. As governments around the globe tried to piece together a future, a deeper wound was uncovered, a betrayal that no one had expected. It was not the enemy's blade that had cut deepest, but the knives of traitors among their own kind.
People
Who had once sworn loyalty to humanity had turned their backs during the darkest hours, secretly aiding the alien forces, sabotaging missions, and feeding information to the enemy. The shock was overwhelming. Questions flooded the halls of power and homes alike. Why had they done this? Who were these traitors, and how many were still out there? The betrayal had shattered more than just trust that had shaken the very foundation of human unity. Worse still, these traitors had vanished into the vastness of space, slipping through the fingers of justice and hiding among the stars. With the war over, a new battle began, not against an alien enemy, but against the darkness. Within their own ranks, leaders knew they could not afford to let this betrayal go unanswered. If these traitors were left unchecked, they could ignite another war, one born not from alien invasion, but from human division and treachery. The survivors had to rebuild Earth, needed to rise from the rubble, fleets had to be reforged, and hearts had to heal. Yet amid the rebuilding, a cold determination took root. Humanity would hunt these traitors, no matter where they hid in the galaxy. The mission was clear but daunting. The stars were endless, filled with dangers both known and unknown. Tracking down those who had turned their backs on humanity would be like chasing shadows in a vast cosmic desert. Yet hope was not lost. Humanity had always been resilient, known for their relentless spirit and ability to adapt in the face of adversity. New technology, scavenged and improved from the war's remains, offered fresh tools for this dark hunt. A specialized fleet would be formed, equipped to search every corner of space to bring back those who betrayed them. But this hunt was more than a mission. It was a test of humanity's soul. Every step forward was met with suspicion. Who could be trusted? Paranoia crept into the hearts of those who had survived. Allies looked at each other with wary eyes, wondering if the enemy was still among them, disguised in human form. Families were torn apart by accusations, and communities struggled to heal from wounds deeper than any physical scar. The war had taken much, but the betrayal threatened to take everything humanity had, left its unity, its hope, its future. Yet, amidst the darkness, there were sparks of light. Stories of bravery and loyalty surfaced, reminding people why that fight was worth it. In hidden corners of the galaxy, some who had once been suspected of betrayal stepped forward to prove their allegiance. These acts of courage gave strength to the hunt and fueled the determination of those leading it. Captain Elena Cade, a name whispered with respect and hope, was chosen to lead this daunting quest. A veteran of the war, she carried the scars of battle and the weight of responsibility. Elena knew the mission ahead was more than tracking fugitives. It was about protecting what remained of humanity's fragile peace and forging a future where betrayal could no longer thrive. As she prepared to lead her team into the unknown, she understood the risks. The traitors were clever, skilled at hiding and manipulating. They had networks and allies scattered across star systems, ready to strike if humanity came too close. Every encounter could lead to danger, deception, or revelation. The hunt would test the limits of loyalty and trust, forcing Elena and her crew to question not just their enemies but themselves. The galaxy had grown darker since the war's end, filled with uncertainty and shadows. But in the hearts of those who refused to give up. A fierce light burned. Humanity was not just a species that survived war. They were a force that fought for justice, for redemption, and for the right to claim their place among the stars. The war was over, but the fight was far from done. The hunt for the traitors had begun, and with it, a new chapter in humanity's story one, where courage and resolve would define the future. No matter how deep the darkness stretched, Captain Alina Cade stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned starship Resolute, her eyes scanning the deep, dark expanse beyond the viewport as the stars flickered like distant beacons of hope and danger. She was a war hero, known for her sharp mind, unwavering determination, and unmatched skill in pursuit. When the call came to lead the elite team tasked with hunting down the human traitors who had vanished into the depths of space, she had accepted without hesitation. The war was over, but a new challenge awaited, a mission that was as much about trust and loyalty as it was about combat and strategy. Elena's crew was carefully chosen. A mix of humans from Earth and representatives from allied planets who had stood with humanity during the brutal conflict. Each member brought unique skills, knowledge, and backgrounds, creating a team that was as diverse as it was capable. Their ship, equipped with the latest stealth and tracking technology scavenged and upgraded from battle-worn designs, was ready to slip into sectors of space uncharted and unexplored. The hunt would be difficult. The traitors were no ordinary enemies. They were cunning, experienced, and desperate, able to blend into the shadows of space and manipulate alliances to their advantage. From the moment Resolute left the safety of Earth's orbit, Alina felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Every decision could mean success or disaster. Every encounter could be a trap. The galaxy was vast, filled with systems that held secrets and dangers alike. As they followed whispers and faint signals across star clusters, the crew encountered resistance not only from remnants of the alien coalition that once fought humanity, but also from factions sympathetic to the traitors' cause. These alien groups saw the fugitives as freedom fighters or pawns in a larger game, and they were willing to fight fiercely to protect them. Ambushes, deceptions, and skirmishes became a frequent reality for Elena's team, forcing them to stay alert and adapt quickly. However, the greatest threat sometimes came from within. Suspicion began to seep into the crew like a slow poison. The pressure of the mission, the weight of the betrayal they were hunting, and the endless darkness outside the ship bred paranoia. Small disagreements turned into sharp arguments. Mistrust lingered in every glance exchanged. Lena knew that. If this internal tension was not controlled, it could destroy the team before they even found the traitors. She worked hard to maintain order and unity, reminding her crew that their mission was more important than personal doubts. Yet the question haunted them, how many traitors were still hidden, not just in the stars, but perhaps among their own ranks. As days turned into weeks, the hunt took them deeper into uncharted space, past star systems that flickered with strange energy and planets cloaked in mystery. They followed fragmented data transmissions, coded messages intercepted from pirate channels, and the occasional tip from spies willing to trade information for safety or favor. Each lead was a thread in a tangled web, and Elena's team pulled carefully, knowing one wrong move could unravel everything. Their journey was marked by moments of tension and brief victories. They rescued a scientist who claimed to have evidence of a traitor base, narrowly escaped a blockade set by hostile forces, and decrypted messages that hinted at a larger conspiracy. Yet, despite all the clues, the traitors remained elusive, slipping through gaps and shadows like ghosts. The hunt was beginning to feel like a chase after shadows, a test of patience and perseverance that pushed the limits of the crew's endurance. Meanwhile, Alina kept her focus sharp, balancing the pressure of command with moments of quiet reflection. She remembered the faces of those lost in the war, the friends who had fought alongside her in the hope that this mission would finally bring justice and peace. But she also understood that this hunt was a different kind of war, one fought not just with weapons, but with trust, intelligence, and resolve. Each star system they entered felt like a new battlefield, each encounter a potential turning point. The crew's morale fluctuated with the ups and downs of their journey, but Elena's steady presence was a beacon that kept them moving forward. The Traitors, it seemed, were not just running, they were planning, building networks, and gathering power in secret. Their actions threatened to destabilize fragile alliances and ignite new conflicts that could tear the galaxy apart. For Elena and her team, every day brought new challenges, new questions, and the constant shadow of danger. As the Resolute continued its voyage into the unknown, the crew knew one truth. This mission was not only about catching traitors, but about protecting humanity's future among the stars. Failure was not an option, and surrender was impossible. The hunter's call echoed through the vastness of space, a call that Elena and her team were determined to answer no matter the cost. The trail that Captain Elena Cade and her crew had been following through the vast emptiness of space finally led them to a remote, lawless system far beyond the reach of Earth's influence. A place where orders seemed to dissolve and chaos ruled like a silent king. This system was home to hidden dangers, asteroid fields, unstable planets, and dangerous outlaws who welcomed no government or authority. It was the perfect refuge for those who wished to disappear and escape judgment. As Elena's team carefully navigated their way through this treacherous region, their sensors picked up faint but unmistakable signs of activity-cloaked ships, encrypted signals, and strange energy readings that suggested the presence of an organized base. What they found shocked them more than they had expected. The Traitors, far from being scattered fugitives hiding separately in fear, had come together to form a coalition of their own. They were not merely running from justice. They were building a new power, promising freedom from Earth's control and appealing to those who felt betrayed or oppressed by the old systems. This new coalition was growing, gathering followers and resources in the shadows, aiming to challenge humanity's place in the galaxy on their own terms. Elena's team realized that the mission had become far more complicated than a simple hunt. They were now facing a force that could threaten the fragile peace and hard-won alliances that had been forged after the war. As the hunters closed in, on the Traitors' stronghold, a hidden fortress concealed in an asteroid belt, tensions rose not only with the enemy, but within Elena's own ranks. Old alliances began to show cracks as some crew members questioned the best way forward. Was the goal to destroy the Traitors completely? Or was there room for negotiation? Were these people beyond redemption? Or could a fragile peace be possible? That might prevent future bloodshed. The question tore at Elena's mind as she studied the data, weighing the risks and benefits. Meanwhile, new betrayals surfaced, both among their enemies and, troublingly, within the crew itself. The pressure of the mission and the secrets of the Traitors seemed to stir unrest, causing whispers of doubt and suspicion to spread like wildfire. Elena had to be cautious and vigilant, knowing that even a small crack in trust could bring disaster. The atmosphere aboard the Resolute grew heavy with uncertainty, every decision carrying the weight of countless lives and the fate of entire star systems. Elena knew that fighting with absolute force risked destroying the coalition, but might also ignite a war that could spread uncontrollably. On the other hand, seeking peace might be seen as weakness by both allies and enemies, possibly encouraging further rebellion and division. The complexity of the situation tested her leadership like never before. The team began careful reconnaissance of the stronghold, uncovering more about the coalition's structure and goals. They found evidence that the Traitors had been working on advanced technology and weapons, preparing for a fight they believed was inevitable. Yet among the signs of war, there were also messages of hope and calls for unity, indicating that the coalition's members were not purely driven by hatred or greed, but also by a desire for a future free from old mistakes. Elena's encounters with captured coalition members deepened her understanding of their cause. Many spoke of disillusionment with the governments that had led humanity into war, of the pain caused by loss and betrayal, and of a wish to create something new and just. These conversations made Elena question what true loyalty meant and challenged her to find a path that would protect humanity without losing its soul. As the hunters prepared for what could be the final confrontation, Elena stood at a crossroads. The galaxy watched silently, the stars holding their breath. The choices she made now would shape not only the outcome of this mission, but the future of all those who called the stars home. In the shadows among the stars, the fate of humanity hung in delicate balance, waiting for the light of courage and wisdom to decide its course, the quiet before the storm. Shattered suddenly as the Resolute and its fleet closed in on the Traitors' stronghold, hidden deep within the asteroid belt of the lawless system. Tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface exploded into full-scale conflict, the vast emptiness of space turning into a battlefield illuminated by the deadly dance of laser fire and explosions. Elena's team fought with everything they had, their minds sharp and their spirits unbroken, despite overwhelming odds. Each maneuver was a careful balance of courage and calculation, with the crew pushing their skills to the limit. The enemy was prepared fortified defenses, hidden minefields, and agile fighters threatened every step forward. Yet the human determination to bring justice was fiercer still. As the battle raged, Elena felt the weight of command pressing harder than ever, knowing that every decision could save or cost lives. But amid the chaos of the fight, something unexpected surfaced deep within the enemy's ranks. Secret that had remained hidden since the war's darkest days. Intercepted communications and captured documents revealed a truth that challenged everything Elena thought she knew about the original betrayal. It was no longer a simple story of disloyal humans turning their backs on their own people. The secret told of complicated motives, desperate choices, and survival tactics born from fear and pain. The line between traitor and victim blurred, casting shadows on ideas of loyalty and justice. Elena wrestled with this revelation as lives hung in the balance, realizing that the hunt for traitors was not just about black and white, right and wrong. It was about understanding the human heart in its most difficult moments when survival. Honor and betrayal became tangled in ways no one could have foreseen. The space around the stronghold was filled with danger and uncertainty. Explosions rocked ships, alarms blared, and every crew member worked with fierce determination to hold the line. Elena's leadership was tested by the constant shifts in battle, requiring quick thinking and unwavering resolve. The crew's ingenuity shone as they found new ways to outsmart the enemy, using the asteroid field for cover, hacking into enemy systems, and launching unexpected counterattacks. Yet, the cost was high. Ships were lost, and friends fell, their sacrifice a solemn reminder of the stakes. As the battle reached its climax, Elena faced a choice that could change everything. The Traitors' leader reached out with an offer surrender in exchange for peace and a chance to rebuild or face total destruction. The captain had to decide whether to accept this fragile truce or press forward with the full force of war. The weight of this decision was heavier than any weapon she carried. It was a moment where the future of humanity's place in the galaxy would be shaped. Elena knew that whichever path she chose, it would redefine what it meant to be loyal, to fight, and to survive. The hunt had become more than a mission. It was a battle for the soul of humanity, fought not just with lasers and tactics, but with courage, compassion, and wisdom. In the end, the stars watched silently as the echoes of battle faded, leaving behind a future uncertain, but filled with hope born from understanding and resilience. The echoes of the fierce battle faded slowly into the vast silence of space, leaving behind a galaxy that would never be the same again. Captain Elena Cade stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her gaze fixed on the distant stars, feeling the weight of victory and loss pressing down on her shoulders. Some of the traitors had been captured, their fate now tied to justice and the hope of understanding why they chose to betray their own people. Others, however, had slipped away once more into the cosmic wilderness, disappearing into the endless dark between the stars where no one could follow easily. Yet, as the crew began to tend to their wounds and repair the scars of war on their ship, a deeper and more troubling revelation emerged from the data collected during the battle. Hidden in the far reaches, beyond even the uncharted territories they had explored before, was a greater threat, a shadow moving silently, threatening not just humanity, but all sentient life across the galaxy. The nature of this enemy was unknown, but its presence was undeniable, and its power far greater than any they had faced so far. This discovery forced Elena and her crew to confront a new, crucial choice. Their original mission to hunt traitors and bring them to justice was no longer enough. The galaxy needed more than vengeance or retribution. It needed unity, strength, and hope. The very survival of countless civilizations depended on whether they could come together to face this looming danger. The burden was heavy, but the resolve of humanity remained unbroken. Elena's team, hardened by war and the trials of their recent hunt, found new purpose in this challenge. They were not just warriors seeking to punish, they were guardians of a future that still held promise amid the darkness. Messages were sent, alliances reached out across star systems, and whispers of hope began to spread. The hunted traitors, now scattered and weakened, seemed less important compared to the shadow that threatened all. The hunt transformed into a call for something. Greater a fight not just for justice, but for the very right to exist and thrive among the stars. Lena felt the weight of this mission like never before, but she also felt the strength of those who stood with her. Her crew, once divided by suspicion and fear, now moved with renewed unity and determination. They carried with them the scars of the past, but also the courage to face what lay ahead. The galaxy watched as humanity chose to stand tall, refusing to be broken by betrayal or fear. Their resilience shone brightly like a beacon in the dark, a symbol of hope for all who called the stars home. The story of the war, the hunt, and the battle had brought them to this moment where the future was uncertain but filled with the possibility of peace, understanding, and strength. Born from struggle. As the Resolute set a new course toward the unknown threat, Alina knew that this was only the beginning. The war had been just the start. Now, humanity would prove why they were a force to be reckoned with, not just as fighters, but as survivors, as leaders, and as a united people, ready to face the challenges of the cosmos together.